Hello, I welcome you all to the English class for class CBSE 10, lesson 4 from the diary of Anne Frank. See, can you see the picture of a beautiful girl? She is Anne Frank. And this photo, she used to look at herself and say, maybe she'll become an actress in the Hollywood one day. And this picture was taken on 10th October 1942. What happened in 1942? Okay, let's see. We already know who ruled Germany. Yes, that is a symbol for the Hitler rule. So let's come and know what happened to Anne Frank hereafter. Did she become an actress or what happened with her life? You know very well, you are well versed with the picture here. It's Adolf Hitler, and the World War II is very prominent in this lesson because it started from 1939 to 1945. You all know that. And the Nazi government was one of the terrorized government in the Germany which ruled from 1933 to 1945 because they hated Jews and started killing them in the gas chambers and all. So Germany was under the control of Nazi the Hitler, and then it spread to Amsterdam, Netherlands and Holland. And Anneliese Maria Anne Frank, 12 June 1928. She was born on 12 June 1928. This is very important, keep in your mind, because the birthday is, she was born in 1929 February, and she is a German born Jewish girl. That means she is a Jewish girl but was born in Germany, and they went in hiding with her family in Amsterdam during the German occupation during the Second World War. You see the picture of Mr. Otto Frank with Margot, and Anne Frank is a small girl. So let's see what happened with her. Anneliese Maria Anne Frank, unfortunately she died at the age of very tender age, but she had a lot of ambition and inspiration in the whole world. So this is a map I would like to show you about Germany. Yes, where the family lived. In Frankfurt, Holland, she was born. And then because of the Nazi gained their power in Germany, they were trapped, and so they went to Holland, Amsterdam, but still the Nazi government extended till the Netherlands. Now I'll show you the picture of the building where they were in hiding for almost 2 years. They went in hiding in July 1942. So this is Mr. Otto's building. Anne Frank's father was a very rich merchant and he had a building, but because of the Nazi government they couldn't stay or live a very normal life. They had to go in hiding, otherwise they were arrested and they were taken to concentration camps. So the blue building which I have highlighted is Mr. Otto Frank's. I'll give you the sketch of the building in detail. And this is a bookshelf which acted as a secret passage called the annexure, where the family lived. And in the family, not only Anne Frank's family, Frank family, but also Van Pel's family, 4 of their relatives stayed with them in hiding. And who helped them with the food supplies and all? There were 4 people who were working in their office. Yes, they were not Jewish people, but they were very kind and compassionate people who took care of them and did not inform about their hiding or the secret place to the German soldiers. And now I'll let you know about the photos. You see Anne Frank, her father, Mr. Otto Frank, and Margot and Edith Hollander Frank is her mother. And the 4 members of the other Vance family also lived in the hiding. And this is the bookshelf when it was moved. The secret passage started. Now this is a sketch of the Mr. Otto's factory. That is the front of the Otto's factory, and in the middle you can see the bookshelf which connected the 2 buildings. So that was entirely closed by a bookshelf, and so that nobody could doubt, or the German soldiers could not make out that they were in hiding. So bookshelf was the entry to their secret passage. And there was a 2nd floor where they lived, and the 3rd floor and the attic. The attic was a place where Anne used to sit and look through the windows all alone, not having a friend, and one of her diaries became her best friend. Let's know about it. The Second World War started, and Hitler hated Jews, and persecutions against the Jewish people started, and they were shot, tortured, put in gas chambers and concentration camps. They were without food, water, medicine and shelter. So that was a terrible era that the Jews faced. and most of them died. And see, can you see the German map? It was fully transformed into concentration camps. So after 2 years in hiding, unfortunately, they were betrayed by some people and they were caught by the German soldiers and they were put in the concentration camp. So which I have circled is a Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. And what happened in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp? Unfortunately, Anne died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen within the days of her sister Margot Frank died. So there is a video in YouTube, so you can go ahead and watch what happened. The whole life story is given in animated form and also in the film form about Anne Frank. You can have a picture. And Margot, his sister, died first. They were separated from the father, mother, and kept all alone in Bergen-Belsen with other people. And there was a bug called which created the diseases called typhus fever. And because of the typhus fever, first her sister died and then followed by Anne. So that was a very heart-wrenching incident that happened with a young girl, ambitious and smart girl. So before death, what she has left to the world? Yes, Mr. Otto Frank was the only survivor, in the Bergen concentration camps after the World War II. Only his father survived. Rest of the Penn's family and Anne's entirely, they were wiped out and gone dead in the concentration camps. And then he came back to Amsterdam after the war ended and he saw that a diary has been saved. He saw that this is a diary the world has to know about her daughter Anne Frank and what all she has noted. It's a very big, detailed structure that she has written for the almost 2 years in hiding. And so he thought that he will publish in English in the name of the diary of a young girl. And so this diary was originally Anne Frank got when she was in her 13th birthday, on her birthday, and then she died in 1944, 1st August. And it was eventually transformed into many languages. Dutch is the only language which was originally it was written, and then it was translated into many other languages and books, and also several films, television and theatrical productions, where even opera was also done based on the life of Anne Frank. So let us know what is a diary, log, and a journal and a memoir. Diary is something which is very close and private because we write our personal things, and log is a full record daily we keep, especially in organizations or schools. And journal is a special book which is complete record of a special event, for example on medicine or travel or food. And memoir is something we record our person's one owns life experiences, especially about ourselves or about a famous person or an incident that happened in our life. And so now writing a diary was a really strange experience for Anne Frank. Why? Because she was writing it for the first time. That is one reason. And she thought she has not written anything like this before. And second thing is, nobody will be interested in the diary of Anne Frank, what the 13-year-old girl is thinking. So she thought diary is a very strange activity. But still she thought, I feel like writing because I have a greater need. I have to throw all my thinkings and what all is rotating in my head and my heart, I will write and lighten my worries. And then she said paper has more patience than people. Why did she say so? She thought that people will not stick with us for a long only if we are very talkative or interesting or humorous or crack jokes. But paper is always there in front of you to write. Let it down your feelings without any restriction. It is there with you all the time. So she was a bit depressed, sitting in the attic at the top of the secret hiding, and with her chin in her hands. She was bored and she was not interested and listless. She was wondering, she wanted to really go out and play, but she couldn't because of the Nazis government. And then she finally sat down and she started writing, and she said paper has more patience than people. So I'm not planning to let anyone read this stuff unless I find a very good friend, and this is not going to happen because I'm in hiding. That's what she says. Now she's coming back to the point. She says the main point why I'm prompted to write a diary is that the first thing is I don't have a friend, and that is more clearly I don't believe. Then you may think that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in this world. No, I'm not. I have a family and uncles and uncle, aunts, and my sister Margaret. So many people are there in hiding with me, but I am missing someone. That is one true friend. So I am. Then she recalls when she was in school before the hiding. She thought I had many friends and very few were very close to me, but we used to laugh and talk about the daily activities. We never went so personal with each other. What was, for example, what was happening in our body and what is the color and what we will do in future. We just had fun. That's it. Maybe we didn't believe in each other, or we did not confide in each other. Maybe it was my fault and thought that I didn't reveal my personal stuff to my friends. And then she thought, now I want someone really, so that I can say everything what was rotating in my mind, because I'm sitting in hiding in this for almost 2 years and I have my family, but still I want some deep friend, near friend to whom I can share. And then she started Kitty her diary. She started writing, and then she also told that she's a very good and clever and ambitious girl. She said, I'm not going to write something in my diaries normally which people do. I want to make my diary a very special friend, so I'm going to call it Kitty. And then she start, if I start a diary from the first page writing something, people may not understand, so I'm going to give a brief sketch of my life. Then she started saying, my father, Mr. Otto Frank, is a very adorable father, and I have my mother, Edith Hollander, and she married after giving birth to us when she was 25. And she said, my father also married when she was almost 36, and my sister Margot and I were born in Frankfurt. She was born in 1926 and I was born on 12 June 1929, and I was in Frankfurt till I was 4 years old. So this was a brief sketch she gave on the diary, and then she started writing the diary after giving her sketch. And then she said, my father, he is a very adorable man, and what happened, we were in Germany, and from Germany, Frankfurt, because of the German occupation, we had to flee or run away from the Frankfurt to Holland, that is Amsterdam. First my father went into Holland in 1933, and then my mother followed, and then my sister followed, and then I followed, and her grandmother was in action. So when father and mother went, Margot and Anne stayed with her grandmother in action, and then they followed to Holland. First Margot went in December, and Anne went thereafter and landed in front of them as a birthday gift for Margot in February. And then she said, I started my Montessori to 6th standard in Amsterdam, that is in Netherlands, and I stayed there. I was 6, at which I started in the first form, that means first standard, and till the 6th class she was in Amsterdam studying. And in 6th standard, the end of the 6th standard, she stopped going to school because of the Nazis occupation. They said that the Jewish will not come out and you lead a very normal life, they will have everything separated. And then she was having a heartbreaking farewell with her headmistress, Mrs. Kupras, at the end of the 6th standard. After 6th standard, she never went to school, so that was a very sad part. And then in the 1941 summer, her grandmother fell ill and she had an operation. Anne was very close to her grandmother, but 1942 her grandmother died, and that was very unfortunate, and she really missed her grandmother. So her birthday in 1942 June, she never celebrated her birthday in a very pomp and very grand manner. She just lit some candles as a dedication. And then so now she's writing in the diary, Saturday 20th June 1942, when they were in hiding. She's recollecting one of the incidents in her school life and she is writing it down. So this is a piece of the writing which is taken from her diary. Her diary is very long, but this is a funny and humorous thing that is taken. And she is writing, "Dearest Kitty, you know, our entire class was quaking in its boot," means very confused. The reason was they wanted to know the end of the year who will pass and who will fail and who will go to the next form, that is the next standard. And so they were quaking, they were betting to each other, they were spending all their bet savings on bets. Some of the boys were laughing and they were really confused and they were really angry, and they were confused whether they'll pass or fail. But if you ask me, Anne thought that her class quarter, that means 1/4 of the people studying in her class were dummies. Dummies means not so good in studies. But still, we cannot say teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. That's what she said. She said, we never know, teachers will promote whom and whom she will detain. So she was worried, and she said, I go very well with all the subject except one subject, which is maths. And she says, we have many teachers in our school, around 7 men and 2 women, and I do very pretty well with all the teachers, but there is one particular sir, Mr. Kissing. He's very old and foggy, that means very old fashioned teacher. He teaches maths and he's completely annoyed with me for ages because I keep talking, because he's angry on Anne's being a very talkative girl. And after several warnings, what he used to do as a punishment to Anne, he gave essays, to write essays as punishment to Anne. So once he gave a chatterbox. Then Anne thought, is this a topic to write down? But still, she noted down the topic and she kept in her bag and she kept quiet. And the first essay that was given as a punishment to Anne was chatterbox. And in the evening, after finishing all her homework, and she started thinking and chewing the tip of the fountain pen, and she was thinking what to write on chatterbox, and she really wanted to give a tit for tat answer to Mr. Kissing. She doesn't want to write or leaving big spaces and write something and trick people, but she wants to write some convincing and strong arguments to prove why people talk and why a student talks. So she has an idea, and then she doesn't want to write something with leaving large spaces. Then she argued. The next day she wrote a 3 pages assignment as homework, as a punishment. Then she argued with the teacher, and she read in the class that talking is student's trait. First point she wrote, arguing, talking is a student's hobby. So how can you say not to talk? Second thing is, she said she is very talkative because she got this quality from her mother, it's an inherited one. It is in her blood or genes. It cannot be wiped out. But she will try her best to do not to talk in the class. That's what she said. She argued these 2 points. Even the sir was laughing. Mr. Kissing gave a laugh. And second time again she started talking. The second essay she was given as a punishment was an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible means cannot be repaired at all. And third imposition was quack quack quack, said the mistress chatterbox. But Anne Frank was ready to face the consequences. She came up with a poem the third time, and she took the help of her friend Sana, who is very good at poetry in her class. So they sat and started writing a poem. He said, Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me, saying quack 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 quack. Now you see, I am going to give a very beautiful poem as a reply to him. So what did they write? They wrote a poem saying that there once upon a time there was a mother duck and a father swan with 3 little ducklings. And the 3 little ducklings were bitten to death by the father just because the little ducklings quack 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 too much. So listening this poem, the people in the pupils in the class, including Mr. Kissing, started laughing. He lightly took the joke. He took it in a very light mood. So, do you think Mr. Kissing was wrong? No. He just wanted to maintain discipline in the class and children to concentrate in maths. That's it. But Anne was not punished anymore with the essays. So this was one of the extract from her diary about a humorous incident which she had with Mr. Kissing. And now let us recap what happened in Anne's Frank life. In 1929, she was born on 12 June. 1930, 1931, 1932, she was in Frankfurt. 1933, when she was 4 years old, they immigrated. Immigrated means completely transformed their settlement from here to Amsterdam. And there she started learning Montessori nursery school. And 1933, when she was 5 years old, she was in Montessori nursery. 6 years she came to first standard, and 1936 to 1939 she studied in the Amsterdam school. But 1940, what happened? When she was 11 years old, she left school and she was in tears leaving Mrs. Cooper's because of the Nazi government's occupation. 1941, when she was 12 years old, her grandmother fell ill. And in 1942, she was 13 years old and grandmother died in the Jan. And that same year, June, her birthday, she did not celebrate very grandly. And in July, they went into hiding because of the Nazi occupation. And then she wrote the diary. In the 1942, she started writing the diary. 1943, they were in hiding. In 1944, they were caught by the Nazi government and they were put into a concentration camp, that is Bergen-Belsen camp. And in 1945, Anne and her sister died of typhus. And 1945 was the end of the Second World War, and the German liberated from the from the Hitler rule. And the only survivor was Mr. Otto Frank, Anne's father. Now, there are some questions which you can quickly answer. When and where was Anne born? Yes, she was born on 12 June 1929 in Frankfurt, Germany. Who is Anne's sister? Margot. Good. Name her father, mother. Father is Mr. Otto Frank and mother is Edith Hollander Frank. Whom did Anne love so much? Grandmother. Anne died in which concentration camp and how? She died in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in Germany because of typhus. Who captured Jews? Nazi government. Where did they move from Frankfurt? They moved to Amsterdam, Netherlands in Holland. Anne completed her Montessori to 6th grade in Frankfurt or Holland? Holland. Which year did her grandmother die? 1942. Very good. Which year they were captured? 1940. 4. Duration of the World War is 1937 to 1945. What did she get on her 13th birthday? A diary. Who is Kitty? Kitty is a favorite close friend. A diary. What was strange for Anne and why? Writing a diary for the first time was very strange for Annie because Anne never has written a diary before and she thought nobody would be interested in her writing. And why did she say that what she said had more patience than people? Yeah, she said paper had more patience than people because paper is always there for you to let your emotions write down. Who is the only survivor of the family after the World War II? His father, Otto Frank. Diary of the Young World was originally written in Dutch. And who was Anne's maths teacher? How was he? Mr. Kissing, and he was very strict. Name 3 punishment he gave her. The first was a chatterbox, second was an incorrigible chatterbox, and third one was quack quack quack, said the mistress chatterbox. Why did he punish her? Because she was very talkative. Why did Anne write the essay and how? She wrote the essay in a very convincing manner, saying that talking is a student's hobby. And second thing, she said it got this trait from her mother. What poem she wrote? Who helped her? The poem she wrote was about a duck and 3 ducklings and a swan father, and how the swan father bitten the ducklings to death because they were kept quacking too much. What poem she wrote and who helped her? Sana, her friend. And at last, what was Mr. Kissing reaction? Mr. Kissing was really happy, and he never gave any more homework or punishment to Anne, because she studied very well, though she was a bit talkative. So this is all about the Anne Frank's lesson, children. Thank you so much. Read the lesson very well, and if you really like, do subscribe and go ahead with the notification so that you get the next lessons also continuously, the videos. Thank you.